The best time to soundproof a room is when a house is being built, but if you're like most people, you don't have that option. So in this video, we're gonna look at 3 different scenarios. We're gonna talk about the different specific things that could be causing a problem and what budget-friendly options you have that you can use to fix this yourself. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we have that help you become the best homeowner that you can be. Now, the first scenario that we're gonna talk about is probably the most common one, and this is noise from the outside leaking into the room that you're actually in. Now, this can be a problem if you're on a video conference call, or say if you work during nights and you have to sleep during the day. Any kind of noise will really affect your sleep, and it can affect your work performance the next day. So if the sound is coming from below you and you have a basement and you have kids hanging out in the basement making a lot of noise, one of the easiest things you can do and one of the best things you can do is, if your ceiling is unfinished, you can install some insulation in the ceiling, so basically in the floor below you, and that'll cut down on the noise dramatically. Now, the best thing to use in this case is some insulation that's designed for soundproofing. Rockwool makes a product called Safe and Sound, and there are a lot of different other products as well that can help give you that soundproofing layer in the ceiling or in the floor basically below you to help prevent that noise transfer up into your room. If the sound's coming from outside your house, there's a few options you have other than, tearing into the walls and installing some additional insulation in those. Basically, if you have a lot of large windows like I have behind me here, a lot of the sound can transfer through the glass itself. So what you want to do in this case is make sure you install some drapes or some heavy curtains, like blackout curtains, and that can really help go a long way to absorbing the noise that's coming in from the outside of your home into the room. Another option you have is to add some sound mats or some acoustic quilts. Basically what you would do is hang these on the wall, either in front of your window or on the wall itself, and these can also help and do a great job of limiting the amount of noise that's coming into your space. Now, likewise, if sound is coming through another room, these sound mats can also help. Also, you might want to check out the door, because a lot of times the sound that's coming in from another room is actually coming through the door itself. So one thing that you can do, if you have the budget, you can look at replacing a hollow core door with a solid core door. Typically in homes, interior doors are hollow core doors, and these have a lot more opportunity for sound to pass through the doors versus a solid core door, which is a denser material that's going to block more of the sound from transferring between the different spaces. Now, you might not even have to go down this path and replace the door itself. You might just have to install some weather stripping around the door, and basically you would install this to block any air that's transferring between the different rooms that you want to prevent. So with the door, you can use weather stripping, and at the bottom you can also use a door sweep to help prevent that sound from coming into your room. And the door sweep is going to be really important, especially if you have hardwood floors, because that sound is just going to bounce underneath the door, hit the hard surfaces, and if you have a door sweep in place, that's going to prevent a lot of that sound, that air movement coming from the other room into your space. Now, if you have sound coming from above you, that could be a little bit more challenging to deal with, because a lot of times sound coming from above is more like stomping and vibrations. So the best way to deal with this is to install your drywall over something called a resilient channel. But again, unless you want to get into some construction, then this isn't really going to be a great option for you. So the best thing you can do is, in the room above you, is to install some, thick rugs or thick carpeting to help make sure that it reduces that vibration as much as possible. The other thing you could do is you could potentially put some kind of acoustic treatment on the ceiling itself, but that's not going to be nearly as good of a solution as it would be to treat the room that's above your space. Now, what if in your case it's the opposite issue? What if sounds aren't bothering you, but you're actually bothering people outside of your room? A lot of the things we already talked about can go a long way into preventing those same issues for the people outside of your room. And you also have a couple of other options as well. One, if you're really concerned about privacy mainly, then you can install some things outside of your room called sound generators. And basically these things are just self-contained fans that will help add some additional noise to the environment where other people could be listening to you. This can go a long way to helping prevent people from being able to understand what you're saying. So if privacy is your main concern, you can certainly look at adding these to your house. The other thing that you can look at doing is, a lot of times sound travels through different rooms through the HVAC or the heating and cooling ducts. And if that's the case, you have some other options for you to help reduce the vibrations in your heating and cooling system. They make different pipe wraps or duct wraps that you can use that are insulating, but these also help reduce the vibrations. And there's some other specialized products that you can use for these heating and cooling ducts as well that helps reduce the vibration and help minimize the sound moving between rooms. Now, those might not be your problems. Maybe your problem is the fact that you have an issue inside your room. Maybe it's too echoey. Maybe you can't hear yourself think clearly because you have your voice bouncing back at you constantly, or maybe your voice is bothering people on the other side because they can't really hear you or understand you clearly if you're on a conference call. So if that's the case, then you have some other options that you need to look at. First, they make acoustic panels that you can install on the walls. That will help reduce the number of vibrations and sound that's bouncing around the room. These foam panels can just be simply foam panels that are glued to the wall. They also make some other decorative acoustic panels as well that actually look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, and it will blend into your room environment a little bit better. Now, if you don't want to hang things on the walls for whatever reason, basically you just need to focus on adding soft surfaces and textures into your space. So one of the best ways to do this is, especially if you have hardwood flooring, is to add rugs onto the floor, and this can go a long way into canceling that echo and limiting the amount of noise that bounces around your room. Also, you can add things like throw pillows or softer furniture into your space, and these things will absorb that sound as well. Just basically look for different ways you can incorporate things that are softer instead of rigid into your space, and be able to position them strategically in your room. Maybe even a combination of throw pillows and some rugs and maybe a couple of acoustic panels can go a long way into solving your problem. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.